ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners. I, Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. Dear friends, it is really nice time, nice place, nice section. We are appreciating starters, beginners and initiators of this whole event. How our Indian culture is the starter of worldly cultures. How our Indian religions are the starters of the worldly religions. It gives us a great proud to speak, read, write, listen about our uncounted, numberless beginners, starters and initiators in India. Dear friends, if we talk about the past of Indian history and culture, then we find that starter of Sikhism, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, who came born in India in 1469. This Indian holy land is really respectable, welcomed and respected by the worldly people in 14th and 15th century period. This 14th and 15th century period was very important in the history. In the same century, we read there was the discovery. In the same year, in the same century, we read there. These are the important dates that our scholars, researchers, scientists, doctors, all educational media startups should keep in their mind. This 14th and 15th century period was really a remarkable, outstanding in writing, reading, speaking, listening, new languages and new discoveries. There was the rise in science, spirituality, in all the fields. All worldly nations started growing in the different fields by knowledge, information, in new directions. There was in the minds of the people, so the people, other countries, there was the establishment of the East India Company in 1600. So these are the important dates that brought hospitals, which played a great role for bringing the opinions of the human minds. New technologies were discovered by the different persons. So in this, we read spiritual freedom historians geographers, freedom of spirituality, spiritual freedom. So, by the freedom, we think that independence and freedom, transparency, performances, reformations, transformations, these were the common words that came in use by the worldly scientists, doctors, ministers, advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors. Dear friends, if we talk about the multicultural and multilingual country of India, then we find so many similarities and resemblances in the actions, thoughts, ideas of the human behavior. If we talk starter of Sikhism, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, who addressed to the worldly people how evolution came in the nation, in the whole universe. We explained clearly that there was light and sound. That spiritual light created, vibrated, activated in the universe. So there was surviving. So there was life in the lifeless statues of 84 lakh species. This is, however, there was the rise of spiritual science. Guruji himself has explained this thing, that first of all, God created himself in the form of light or sound. Then that rays of light collided with 84 lakh species. There was vibration and activation in the lifeless things of the world. Later on, Guruji addressed to the worldly people that as earlier in Satyug, in the age of truth, there was the victory of truth and everyone got association, attachment with this soul, with the supernatural power of God, just by speaking the truth. As Saint Kabir says, सत्य बराबर तप नहीं, झूठ बराबर पाप, जाके हृदय साच है, ताके हृदय आप. Means there was the greatest value of the truth explained, described, mentioned as the victory of truth over false. Later on, if we talk about the age of Dwapar, there was the believer of statues, worshipper of statues. So just by worshipping statues, they got association, attachment of this soul with the super spiritual power of God. Thirdly, if we talk about the age of Treta, there was the age of Yagya. By doing Yagya, Havan, everyone was able to got association, unification of this soul with God. But if we talk about the dark age, where there was the birth of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj in 14th century, it was the rise of dark age, and he clearly explained everywhere that is the age of words. You can meet, see, listen, speak, read, write about the Lord or God just by repetition of the holy words of this holy land. So by imitation, by following the path of tranquility of heart, peace of mind, you will get the association, unification of this soul with the spiritual power of God. Guruji writes at one place, Ab Kalu Ayo Re, means it is the dark age, means where there are the maximum sinners. Ab Kalu Ayo Re, Ik Naam Bogo Bogo, where there is the season of growing only the holy words in this spiritual body. Ab Kalu Ayo Re, Ik Naam Bogo Bogo, Anarut Nahi Nahi, Mat Bharam Bhulo Bhulo. There is not the season of growing any other crop in this spiritual body. He clearly explained this thing. Kalyug mein naam adhara simar simar nar utro para. In this dark age, if you want to get salvation, emancipation, you want to finish the cycle of birth and death, then you can just by the repetition of the holy words of this holy land, it is possible. What's the meaning of salvation or emancipation? By living diet, we can get the perfect ecstatic joy in our life, permanent delight or permanent rejoice of life. Because everything that we have around us in the form of noun, in the form of material, so in this materialistic world, if we want to get the permanent ecstatic joy, then we can attain. All things are temporary. Rest of the things are inconsistent. The soul is immortal. It is forever. It was, it is, and it will. Guruji further explained this thing that God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, almighty. He was, He is, and He will. So fearlessly and friendly, if we will remember, recall that power, then definitely that power will speak with us, that power will listen us, that power will come to be partner of this life, that power will travel with us, that power will give us sweet moments of life. It is possible. But for that, we are to concentrate, we are to spend the time to recollect, to remember the holy words of this holy land. This is a great message that was advocated, appealed and addressed by Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj to the worldly people. Fearlessly and friendly, if we live with the nature, then this holy motherland bless us, grace us, numberless, uncounted fruits on us. It is possible only by devotion and dedication to this Indian holy land, by being nationalistic and spiritualistic person. So, in the same century, we read thoughts and ideas of William Shakespeare, whose name itself is the symbol of creator, generator and operator. He was the generator of philosophical ideas. He was the philosopher. He was the poet who addressed that tragedy brings pity and fear. Comedy is temporary. Comedy is for 9 days only, but tragedy is forever. Tragedy makes us brave. Tragedy brings pity and fear. Then we remember that super spiritual power of God This was addressed by William Shakespeare in this period, and royal families. High. Why? Because are declined by losing their character. The same mixing or intervening of the different religious status in 14th and 15th century period. This period created upheaval. How? Just by telling us science to spirituality, everyone started reading the holy scriptures of this holy land. All the holy scriptures of this holy land that we read from the Lord Rama, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, from Lord Krishna, Ramcharitmanas. Numberless holy scriptures were being read at that time by the readers of the worldly people. For knowing the truth of science and spirituality, language to literature. Dear friends, what happened at that time? How nature became the common concept of all holy religions of this holy land. Let us discuss it. Be continued. Personally, professionally, publicly, socially, economically, politically, and if you talk about the individuality of the human behavior, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, throughout all the fields, this mind started recreated. It started regenerated. It started reformed. It happened at that time. Later on, in 15th century period, there was the ruling of Mughal